that's it. I'm leaving St. Louis, but before I tell you my reasons, I'm going to explain why so many other people are choosing to leave St. Louis as well. That way, if you're on the fence about moving here, you want to consider all of your options. We'll be covering the city's declining job market, the poor public schools, and as well the affordability and crime rates. But make sure to stay to the end because I'm going to be sharing a surprising trend on where people are actually moving to. Did you know that the city of St. Louis is home to fewer than 300,000 people and is declining every single year? This number would come as a shock to city planners in the 1950s. At that time, the population was over 850,000 people and was expected by experts to hit over 1 million people. Homes and buildings couldn't go up fast enough, but from the 1950s to the 1990s, with mass suburbanization and major industries collapsing, changed everything. Manufacturing giants that once provided thousands of jobs either shut down or moved overseas, caused entire communities to go into unemployment, and caused waves of people to leave the city. Now, over the past few decades, companies like Chrysler, Ford, General Motors pulled their operations out of St. Louis, taking tens of thousands of jobs with them. Now, this didn't just impact the factory workers, this as well impacted small businesses, restaurants, local services that needed a strong working class community to thrive. Imagine an entire community built around a factory and then suddenly left with no purpose. Another reason why many families are choosing to leave the city is because of the struggling public school system. Many parents are either paying for a private school or are commuting to higher rated schools just to get a decent education for their kids. As a result, the public school system is shrinking fast. In fact, there are more than 30 public schools in St. Louis City that are sitting abandoned just because there aren't enough students to fill them. It's hard to build a community when the schools can't even stay open. Personally, when my wife and I got married, we knew that finding a good public school system was going to be really important for our future kids. And the fact that the public schools in the city were getting even worse made that decision even easier. We didn't want to be in the decision where we were having to pay for private schooling or do an hour commute just to find a decent education for our kids. But there's another factor that is driving people out of the city, and it's something you might have already heard about. Crime in St. Louis is a serious concern and is one of the biggest reasons on why people are choosing to leave the city. The city consistently ranks one of the most dangerous in the entire country. And it's not all about the crime. Housing affordability is another major factor. In fact, you can often find a much larger home in the suburbs for the same price or sometimes less than for a similar property that you would pay for in the city. With lower crime rates, better amenities, and better housing options, no wonder why people are choosing to move out of the city and into the suburbs. In St. Louis City, the average rent for a 3-bedroom apartment can easily top $1,600 a month. But here's the surprising part. In the suburbs, you can find for the same price or even less a 4-bedroom home with more space, a bigger yard, more bathrooms, and a safer community. Many people who were once stuck in the rental market are now finding that home ownership is now more within their reach, something that just wasn't possible in the city. I had a client that was once paying $2,000 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment in the city. But when I showed them a house in the suburb with more space, a bigger yard, and a safer community, they seen a deal that they just couldn't pass up. But instead of continuing to rent, they were able to buy a home for the same monthly cost without sacrificing any quality of life. With the only trade-off being that they had a 30-minute commute, but they were definitely happy and didn't mind since they were now moving to home ownership. So now with everything being said, does that mean that everyone's evacuating St. Louis to move to states like Tennessee, Texas, or even Florida? No, they're not all moving out of the state entirely. They're actually moving to the suburbs such as Chesterfield, Kirkwood, or St. Charles, which are insanely thriving right now. They offer better schools, a safer community, and a strong local economy, which was just more of a decision on why me and my wife wanted to move to the suburbs and kind of made that decision more clear when we were planning for our future family. We wanted a place where we could afford a larger home with more space, something that just wasn't possible in the city. So a little secret, if you couldn't already tell, me and my wife, we made the decision to move to the suburbs, and there were benefits that were immediately clear. Now we have access to more parks, where we see people fishing, families walking, kids playing, strollers everywhere, something of that kind of family vibe and safer community that we were looking for. The lower cost of living as well gave us more financial freedom, just so we didn't have to stress all the time over finances. Instead of the hustle and bustle of the city where we're meeting tons of strangers, we're actually able to meet the same people, same like at the gym, and kind of build that relationship. With St. Charles alone, their population increased by 7% in the last decade, while St. Louis has been declining annually by 4,000 people. If you want to see where St. Louis residents are heading, make sure to check the suburb video that I made. It'll be in the description below, and it's kind of the top and more safe and affordable suburbs that you can live in. So to recap, the 3 major reasons on why people are choosing to leave St. Louis City is because of the poor job market, the poor public schools, and the crime rates with the low affordability. The kicker is you don't have to leave St. Louis entirely just to find exactly what you were looking for. There are safer and more affordable options just a few miles away. For me and my wife, moving to the suburbs is definitely the best decision we made, and I get to help other people do the same, and I absolutely love it. Whether you're planning on making the move in 9 days or 9 months, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, all that's in the description below, and I'd love to help you find a home that fits your needs. And if you're curious about what it's like to actually live in St. Louis area, make sure to subscribe just to get more videos of what it's like to live here.